Hi, and welcome to Breaking the Panels. Today we go back to 2006 and have a look at Superman Returns. And if I was completely honest, this was a hard review for me to do, as I don't think Superman Returns is a great film, but I also don't think it's a terrible film. I'm really caught in the middle with this one. And yeah, this review will have some spoilers. The film is 12 years old after all. So, Superman Returns was directed by Bryan Singer, who's just come off filming X-Men 1 and 2. And unfortunately, I feel he really drops the ball on this one, as he really tries to do a love letter to the Christopher Reeve Superman and really play homage to the Richard Donner films that came before. And this film, Superman Returns, is set straight after Superman 2. And when I say straight after, it's actually set 5 years later, as Superman has gone into space in search for Krypton, even though everyone knows Krypton has been destroyed. Hence the name Superman Returns. But this film isn't about Superman returning. It's more about how Lois Lane, played by Kate Bosworth, deals with Superman taking off and returning to Earth after 5 years. And this film heavily draws on her, and she has the best character development. However, I really don't think Kate was the best person to be cast in the role as Lois Lane. She's a great actress and a beautiful woman. However, I don't feel she's the Lois Lane that we know and love. And for Superman, we have Brandon Routh, and I think he is great as Superman and looks fantastic in the suit. Even though I'm not a massive fan of the leather cape, it really works for the feel of this film. And he does truly play a great Christopher Reeves, playing homage to what came before. And I would have really liked to see what he could do in the sequels that would have come. However, he never got the opportunity to be the Superman that he wanted to be. The real reason I'm split on this film, with every great idea, I feel there was two bad ones coming straight after them. And I keep hearing these stories from behind the camera, like Bryan Singer carrying a picture of Nicolas Cage as Superman from the Tim Burton Superman Lives film that never happened. And every time a producer would question him of what he was doing on set, he would show him this picture and say, "Do you really want this to happen?" Unfortunately, I really don't think this worked, and I feel this was a form of bullying to get what he wanted. For instance, he was casting actors even though the script hadn't been finished. And you can really see this when you watch the film again. There's some really key moments, but there's a lot of filler in between. And like I said before, this story really follows Lois Lane, and Superman is just a secondary character. There's even a scene where Superman floats down from the sky and he's spying on Lois Lane and her kid. Yep, that's right. Lois Lane has a kid that's miraculously 5 years old, the same length of time that Superman disappeared. And nobody notices that Clark Kent comes back 5 years later. And there's some also straight up dick moments in this film. For instance, there's one moment where Clark is on the farm back in Smallville and a dog runs up with a ball. He picks up the ball and just launches it into the sky. The poor dog doesn't know where to look. But with all that said, we do get some great flying moments with the Man of Steel himself, and the CGI still holds up today. Within the first half an hour of this film, you see a fantastic save of an aeroplane crashing to Earth, and this is truly something to see. But I feel as soon as the plane touches the ground, the film really does dip. For the villain of this film, we have Lex Luthor, played by Kevin Spacey. And when I first heard this casted, I was really happy, as I thought Kevin Spacey was a great actor and I loved the films that he'd done before. However, I feel he never gave 100% on screen, even though behind the scenes he was joking around saying he was going to kill Superman. But when he was on the camera, it felt very lackluster, and this sums up the film to a T. It's just a very mopey film. And we have Kevin Spacey's Lex Luthor after Land once again. A storyline has already been done before. It's a real shame, because at the start of this movie, you see Lex coming into a lot of money, and I really thought they were going to do the President Lex storyline that was running at the comics at the time. Unfortunately, they just used the same old story. The Fortress of Solitude is back, and it looks great. However, Lex gets there and he seems to know all about the Kryptonian technology, and he knows how to use them and how to straight away to use the crystals. I do feel Singer had too much of a budget in this film, and that's a quite surprising thing to say considering this is a superhero film. For instance, there's a scene with a massive train set that costs millions to make, and one of Lex's henchmen drops a bit of crystal into the water, which makes it explode. But that's not the worst part. When the model train set begins to crack open and explode, you actually see the little model figurine screaming. That's right, the little model starts screaming for no apparent reason. And a really important scene where Superman reveals the S on his chest by ripping open his shirt, the classic Superman moment. They do this, but it's shot just off camera, and you don't see the full reveal. There are some great nods to what came before. For instance, we have the original Jimmy Olsen and Lois Lane from the George Reeves TV series making a cameo, and Christopher Reeves was meant to appear. Unfortunately, he passed away before he could, and the film is dedicated to him and his wife. If this film was just an hour long and was dedicated to Christopher Reeve's Superman, it would have been great and a lovely homage. However, it goes on for 2.5 hours and just has so much filler. And the Boy Scout doesn't even lay a punch. I do feel the best thing that came out of this film was the score. John Ottoman takes John Williams' score and moves it forward, giving it a lovely softer side. I remember when I first saw the trailer of Superman Returns and I couldn't wait to watch it. The suit looked great and the score sounded fantastic. We even got recordings of Marlon Brando as Jor-El, Superman's father. However, I remember leaving the cinema very disappointed and remember feeling it was a very boring film. And what Superman does in the final act just doesn't make sense. One moment Superman's powers has been taken away by kryptonite. The next moment, he can lift a whole continent. And I think that's what it comes down to when I think of Superman Returns. It's the sheer disappointment I felt, and feeling it could have been so much better. Well, I could talk about Superman Returns for hours, but what did you think? Leave a comment below. Don't forget to give us a like and subscribe, and you can find us on all social media. Thanks for watching.